Some might say a once-in-a-lifetime experience. No, it's not the opening of Ian Key's wallet. It is the chance to celebrate a 41-year career in newspaper. Something about as shocking as yesterday's election result, and that I fear we will hear and see little of in the future. Not from Dave, but from others. Before we start though, I'm afraid I have some very sad news to report. I'm sorry about this, I didn't really want to put a down on proceedings before we kicked off, but I feel I've dropped my bottom page, and I think I should share it with you now, at the outset, so there are no secrets or awkward moments for anyone later on. David, it's an emotional moment.
What have you done?
I'm afraid to say, David is Welsh. Now I know this is going to come as a great shock, and I could hear that it did. If anybody wants to leave now, I completely understand. I'd just like to say it's something that's beyond either my or David's control. Once David's parents realised their mistake, they quickly moved across the River Wye into England in a desperate bid to rectify the situation. But it was too late. He's a boy. That is, I have no knowledge of it. There's nothing I can do about it. If my fee, because we all know David, wasn't so generous, I may well have accepted another gig, such as Ed Miliband's speechwriter. But it's pretty tough hammering all that stone. Speaking of the election, I think tonight's turnout is all the more remarkable in light of the government's frankly ridiculous, some may say mysterious, decision to hold the election so close to a meeting of Fleet Street's finest so far from Westminster. But as soon as I knew it was Dave's due, that was it, election day. It may be rather apt, as politics have played a particularly important role in David's career. His rise to whatever he has risen to began when, as a young student in Monmouth, he was thrown out of public school for forming a branch of the Communist Party. He then followed the path of many true 70s revolutionaries and became a sculptor. What? Healing hand. He enrolled John Lennon style in art college in a desperate bid to do as little as humanly possible to make a living. Indeed, he struggles to recall a single thing he ever made. As soon as his great grand cheque landed, our communist friend's eyes looked lovingly to the east, towards his comrades living in the giant, quaint, concrete tower blocks of the Soviet Union. His feet, however, went west. Not for the first time. And our little revolutionary instead hopped a flight to the home of capitalism, America. He headed, this is a little true, but he couldn't make this first. He headed to the East Coast resort of Atlantic City, where he was blacked up. He headed to the East Coast resort of Atlantic City, a fading gambling town under control of the mob, where life was cheap. Murder and occupational hazard. This is completely true. I love the fact that nobody believes a bloody word I'm saying. This is absolutely gospel truth, isn't it? He headed for the... Is this true, David, or what? You're right. He headed to the East Coast resort of Atlantic City, a fading gambling town under control of the mob, where life was cheap. Murder and occupational hazard. Bodies were piled up in the alleyways, and death was just a heartbeat away. Enough of Hull, we're coming back to that later. Anyway, you may think where better for a trailblazing young snapper with the heart of a lion and the keen eye of an eagle to cut his cloth in newspaper business. You may think David opened a dart stall on the pier.
What?
playing darts? Don't knock it!
This feature right.
This feature, I couldn't make it up. This seemingly modest business may once signal the birth of the entrepreneurial spirit that has seen David flourish in the commercial lunacy of his freelance journey. No one knows quite how often David sharpened those darts, but business was good and prizes were rarely won, and with a small fortune in his pocket, he turned to every communist's dream, Las Vegas. This is all absolutely right. I was gobsmacked in. Within days, he'd blown the lot and returned to Britain without a penny to his name to an inquest from his superiors at Newport College, who, unsurprisingly, asked where he'd been for the past 2 months. Here, young Parry displayed the think-on-your-feet skills that have held him in good stead throughout his journalistic career. I've been in New York, of course, studying conceptual art. Boy, oh, college bosses were impressed. So impressed, they asked him to give a lecture on the subject, which he promptly did, perhaps explaining why we haven't seen one decent Welsh artist in the past 30 years. While he was at college, one momentous event occurred which would change his life forever. His beloved mum Jean, clearly still racked with guilt over his Welsh heritage, brought him his first camera. A Pentax for all you lensmen in the room. Oh! We've even got a Pentax agent in the room.
Pentax, yeah.
Phil, what's a Pentax?
Oh, it's a great camera, mate.
Is it the king camera?
Great camera.
No, it's your first one.
All right.
Jerry, it's only a 3-hour bloody tape in here, mate.
He was soon using it to good effect after landing the contract of all that contracts. 2 years, painstakingly photographing the building of the first 7-bridge concrete slab on concrete slab. 2 fucking years. Now, it may not exactly have been Kim Kardashian's arse, but whatever floats your boat. Or bridge. It earned him £100 a week, which at the time, for a young lentil-munching communist, was a right decent wonder body, which he invested in a gleaming Lotus Cortina motor. Which is only a Cortina with a Lotus engine, or I suspect, a Lotus that drives like a fool. Either way, it looked the bollocks like. And it helped him hook his girl, who is here tonight. Christine!
Hey!
Christine, you can verify this is actually true, can't you? Look at this, a thumbs up. He knew he had to provide for his bride, so he took a job in a photographic studio in Sudbury, Suffolk, where he was soon combining his skills, taking pictures and sculpture. Yes, sculpture. David didn't fancy dragging their half a hundredweight camera around on jobs, so he decided to bring the mountain to Mohammed. Can I say that?
You can, you've said
As long as I
it.
don't draw it, I can say it.
You've said it.
I guess I can. Anyway, when an ad agency wanted a snap in front of the White Cliffs of Dover, David didn't go there, he'd simply build an exact replica with his healing hands and shoot it in the studio. You never left the room, David, did you? Worried the job was going so well, it might become a proper career, something David has devoted his entire life to avoiding. He left, headed north to Leeds, and somehow convinced poor David Hicks to offer him a job in a picture agency. Assuring his new boss he was an experienced snapper used to life at the media coalface, Parry turned up, barely having read a newspaper, let alone taken a picture for one. But he soon picked up the tricks of the trade on his first job, the trial of notorious fraudster John Paulson. He quickly realised the guy was walking in and out of court in the same grey suit every day, so if he missed his snatch, he could send yesterday's picture. And a lifetime of snapper skullduggery was born. David credits his time with the agency for teaching him everything he knows about photography, What a great 10 minutes that must have been. After 5 happy years, he took what now sounds like a job from heaven. International photographer. International photographer, Richard. For the New Yorkshire Post colour magazine. Israel, France, Italy, the world, to take pictures. Not a dead line in sight. Wow. Sounds too good to be true. It was. After 18 months, clearly weighed down by his massive expenses, it fell. And Parry was on the road again. But by now, word of David's reputation for ale swigging, a wanton abuse of cash, and aversion to a proper job had reached Fleet Street. He was ideal material, and he was handpicked to join the world's greatest newspaper, the Daily Express. No, it was the world's greatest newspaper.
He beat me to it.
He was one of 8. 8! That's 8 snappers in the Express working out of their Manchester office alone. I can't remember the last time I saw 8 people in the Daily Star London at the same time. And 2 of them were models looking for the office of granny showers, which was David. Wasn't David? But under the stewardship of legendary news Ed Stanley Blenkinsop, David and his Express colleagues unleashed upon the world a series of blistering exclusives, such as Stanley contracting hypothermia as he walked the Pennine Way.
Yeah.
Which is, I can't believe that. And legend Harry Pugh somehow finding a dog turd, mysteriously appearing on his lawn after he'd erected a 6-foot-high fence to keep the pooches out. Can't imagine how that got there. They were heady days. Money was no object. When David phoned in, moaning he could not find a boat to rent so he could cover a story about a sunken North Sea trawler, Dennis Arnold barked, "Go and fucking buy one." Never happened to me. It was with heavy heart that David called time on his 5-year career at the Express, but he could not resist the prospect of blazing the trail as the only snapper outside London working for Britain's first colour newspaper. Eddie Shah was a lot of things to many people. A sex offender to police. An entirely innocent man to the jury included. And a journalistic pioneer to just about everyone in the business. David and Ace Hackney and Fletcher spent a month working feverishly from Shah's Warrington HQ in preparation for the launch of his high-tech RAV. Put simply, it was shit. I remember it. I've still got the first edition. The print in the first edition was so blurred, it was like trying to decipher one of Ian Key's cheques. Completely impossible. But under the careful stewardship and the careful stewardess, it's a Freudian slip, sorry. A picture of this of Ron Morgan's, who had taken David on despite a legendary first interview in which he got completely rat-arsed in the Old Bell Tavern beforehand and dismissed the chance to work on today as utter bollocks that will never work in a million years. Parry and Fletch worked their socks off to help turn it around, along with the likes of one then little-known independent-minded hack, Alistair Campbell, long before the days of alleged doctored Iraqi war dossiers and the thick of it, immortality, and a few interviews this morning to try and make it count. While working on today, David experienced his finest hour, stepping straight from the pub to steal a waiting helicopter from the Daily Star's Rick Blake. Not surprisingly not here tonight. Paul, do you know this story?
I do.
David hopped straight into Blakey's chopper, if you can't got up in the air to snap Ian Brady's first return to the moors to look for the bodies of the children he'd killed. Unaware he had the killer pin sharp. Let's be honest, it had to happen one day. He nervously drove his pictures down to London to be devved as Blake cursed him long into the night for stealing his helicopter. Parry had caught Brady in his trademark shades looking straight at the stolen chopper. He and Blake had barely spoken since.
What a blessing.
He didn't return my call. The Snap helped land David the chance to become today's Northern Picture editor. Asked if he wanted the job, he replied traditionally, "Do I fuck?" And shortly afterwards, Ross Parry was born. As my learned colleague John Woodcock pointed out this week in a pre-speech briefing, journalist and successful entrepreneur are not words normally used in the same sentence. But David's unlikely alliance with Jeff, watch your treacle, Ross, went on to change the face of freelancing in Britain. From a humble beginning in Ross's kitchen, the agency expanded to its own office in Farsley to become the second biggest in the country. Do you know what? I put a little gap for somebody will go second. A frankly bizarre tie-up with Brian Lavery's Humberside Newsline and Words Emporium in Hull helped turn it from a picture agency to all-round news operation and introduced me to the craziness of Messrs Ross and Parry. As Lord Leveson isn't in the room, I think I can be frank. It was bonkers. For young hacks passing through, it was a journo heaven, drenched in booze, babes and general babbles. Never mind the poor pay, ridiculous hours and daily insanity. Everybody volunteered to work 24/7, 7 days a week, because it was the best show in town. I recall Mr. Parry throwing John Prescott's son David, who yesterday sadly failed in his bid to become later on Peter Denton, out of the office to break up a fight with a drunken snapper. On another occasion he was talked down from a suicide bid off the Humber Bridge, but you'll have to pay me to learn more about that. Stories were everywhere, mostly in the office. Quiet news days would be miraculously rescued by the freelancers' get out of the red free card, the stunt. And few were ever better than Ross Parry's. Until, that is, the now legendary stunt too far. Wouldn't it be funny if a girl sent a photo of her and her dog to an in a bid to become a model, and they ditched her and signed up the dog? Said someone, somewhere, someday. Next, it was done. A friendly model agency was recruited. A girl was given a dog. She didn't even have a fucking dog. And a reporter, who cannot be named for legal reasons, dispatched the story to Fleet Street's finest. Cue madness. This is incredible, amazing, the story of the week. Then, we need to get alongside that girl. We want to buy up the dog. Where can we find her? And then, we want her on breakfast TV. Can she go on the couch with Lorraine? The girl was starstruck. Her family thought it was real. They wanted her on telly. It was all bollocks. Even the dog was seeing Winnerland. Yikes. The reporter, who cannot be named for legal reasons, lost the plot. The photographer lost the plot of 20 movies over the past 20 years. Yet Dave's reassuring words steered us, the reporter, safely through choppy water. You two just fuck off, get the fuck out of here, stay there, stay away, and tell the girl no, 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 fucking no. David said gently. Somehow it all went away. The stories appeared everywhere. The money was banked somewhere. The model went on to become a mum of 13 with her own cancer fight. And the pooch, well, it never did make Dog World, but I'm telling you it's happening. Under Dave's steady stewardship, and I'm sure thanks to in no small part to the warmth and affection he instills in just about everybody he meets, Ross Parry withstood the trials, literally trials, tribulations, cutbacks and circulation squeezes which have claimed the scalps of many a less resilient operation over the past few years, so it can move on to its next challenge as part of Southwest News. And I think he deserves maximum credit and a giant round of applause for that. Now I realise this is the longest thing I've ever written in the past 25 years. I have a few messages to read out from those who, for one reason or another, can't be here tonight. A lance to boil, a shed to creosote. Whatever the reason, something like that. We have some very, very special messages. I'll start, I think, with Mr. Jeff Ross. This could get emotional, Dave. I doubt it, having read it earlier. But anything can happen.
He wants more money, Dave.
Oh, you have read that? Speaking from his chateau in South France, he says this, and I removed some of it to avoid offending minds. Seems so long ago that I left Ross Parry, and even longer that I rescued Dave from unlimited expenses, safe staff position. And he rescued me from an uncertain future. In his position, I would never have given up a staff job to work with me. But I am grateful that he did. Sadly, I can't be there for the evening of fun and games. Christ, that's why I'm in France. But I would like to be. So let me say, thanks for the memories. Have a great evening, and I hope you will come this way sometime soon. Please post pictures. Mr. Jeff Ross. Then Times Sports, Ian Stewart writes, happy retirement, old chap. A bit brutal like that. You're only 63. I did it 8 years ago and wished I'd done it earlier. Have a great night, no doubt reminiscing. I still tell folk about the World Cup in Italy in 1990, when you were sharing a satellite phone with Nigel, Sultan of Watford, Cairns, and had the ball to charge for a you had the balls to charge. You had the balls to charge for a tree surgeon to cut down a tree, so the phone would get a clearer view of the satellite. To tell him to put the kettle on. These were the days when men were men and sheep ran scared. Have a great night and worry about the head in the morning. Late morning. That's from Ian Stewart at the Times. This is from Kieran Donnelly of the Daily Star. Got your details through Radio Wilco. It'll be Peter Wilcott. Some people may have heard of him, Paul. Sorry I can't make it, nor can Fingers from Blackpool. No. Who's Paul, do you know Fingers from Blackpool?
No.
Really? Nobody knows, anybody know Fingers?
They all know Fingers.
Oh, really? Is he one of those people you can't mention? Good Lord.
What happens in
From Paul Ellis, now photographer at Agence France Press. Now photographer at Agence France Press. He's now photographer at Agence France Press. Got tracked down to London last night as the inevitable election curse strikes again. So very much doubt I'll get there tonight. Gutted. Just to add though, that while talking to my 13-year-old son about working for Daddy, Jack, almost 20 years ago, I had to say that I learned more then than at any other time in my career. Dave taught me how to knock a door, get the collects, and the negs, brackets remember then?
Do we, yes?
No, yes. Started my obsession with always having a boot full of A to Z maps. Oh, bloody hell. Picking up a weekly newspaper on a Thursday, reshooting a story, and getting it in the Nationals the following day. My son's reply was, how come you didn't know how to knock on the door? I'm sure you'll all know what I mean. Have a fun night. From George Koching. George Koching. I would very much like to attend, but sadly I'll be down south. Have a few ales for me and wish Mr. Parry a happy return. Hannah Smith. I'm in Australia. Hannah McCarthy, now Smith, since married a guy called Smith. Whatever fucks you about. I'm in Australia at the moment, so please wish him all the best from me too. Can't believe I bowed at him when I first met him. She come back from Japan. Oh, thank God for that. Good Lord. John Guyan. Sorry I can't make it. We'll probably be outside one of the party headquarters. I doubt it now. Party headquarters. So I hope you all have a good time giving Dave a good send-off. Oh, and thanks as well, Dave, for giving me my start in this business. My old Humberside Newsline buddy, Chris Russell. Do you remember Chris? Chris Fingers Russell. It's short, sadly I can't make it, arts. And our old boss, Brian Lavery, now a university lecturer. Sorry Jerry, can't make it. Got family thing going on in Skipsey. Dave's a great bloke. Please give him my best. Top man, top journal. Ex-mirror hack and now best-selling author, Steve Dennis. Alas, I'm back in America. Sorry to miss this one. All the best, Dave. James Ingham, gutted can't be there. Buy Parry a pint from me. Take it out of the 6 months I worked for less than minimum wage. Here's another, bit of a strange one this.
Fingers is Peter Lomas, by the way.
Think you can get away with a measly £3 grand for my wedding album? My husband is going to kill you. That's from Sonia Sutcliffe. And here's a special posthumous message. Posthumous, that means from beyond the grave if we've got any Guardian hacks in this evening. It was marked only to be opened in the event of my death or Dave's retirement. And reads, as someone who has worked alongside you for years in this wonderful city of Leeds, I've been nothing other than impressed by your incredible professionalism, your amazing nose for a story, your astonishing powers of perception, and your undoubted skills as an investigative journalist capable of rooting out corruption wherever it lies. No one or nothing is going to get past you, is it? Many congratulations, Jimmy Sam.
In you all alone.
A little message from Lord Leveson. After completing an inquiry into misconduct in the British press. What? The girl didn't even have a fucking dog? And I've lost the rest. But all I can say is, one from Alison Saunders, from the Director of Public Prosecutions, of course, has been steadfastly putting journalists in prison for investigating the payment to public officials. And she sends a glowing message. I'll have to remember it, Dave, because it's gone at the moment. But it's along the lines of, As soon as we investigated payments into public officials, we obviously launched an immediate investigation into David's accounts, examined them fully, and happily we found no payments to anyone.
Even his death.
Anyway, I think the time has come to raise a glass to a fabulous man, a man I love very much, who has been nothing but brilliant to anybody who's worked with him. Everybody charge your glasses, raise a toast
David.
to David Parry! David, come on, speak.
Fucking hell, man. I said there wouldn't be anybody here.
I've got to be honest, come on, before you speak, I've got to say, I was so worried nobody was going to turn up. I have never known anybody say that. And that is a mark of what a great guy this is.
Dave has not stopped crying.
Oh, that's what it was. I thought he dropped his
He's not
mouth.
stopped crying past a year.
Well, I applied for a job at the launch of the Daily Star. I didn't get it.
Nothing to do with it.
18 months later, I joined the Daily Express. How glad was I? I would not have been able to live up to the bylines. The world's greatest sports photographer, the world's greatest royal photographer. There is only one way to go with that bloody title. One person who lives up to that is the world's greatest crime correspondent, Jerry Lawton. Thank you very much.
Hey!
I'll give you the tenner later.
I mean, it's fantastic seeing so many people
Get on
here.
the nose at tenner then. Rebecca!
Seeing so many people here, from my first boss, David Hicks.
Yay!
Some people taught me unbelievably badly how to take pictures. When I joined David Hicks, I arrived at the office and there was an old guy at the bottom of the stairs shouting to the guy at the top. I recognised the guy at the top and it was David Hicks. And he's saying, "Bugger off, you silly fool." And as I walked past the old guy at the bottom of the stairs, he said, "Well, it's all your fault anyway." And I'm going, first day in the job, I don't even know this guy. I walk up the stairs and David Hicks said, "Oh, sorry about that, that's my dad Jack. I forgot to tell him that I'd employed you so that he could retire." I worked for David for 5 years and enjoyed every minute of it. I had a succession of jobs, as you know, from YP, Daily Express. For the youngsters here, Today newspaper was actually the first colour newspaper.
Yeah.
And in fact, the only colour newspaper.
No, it wasn't.
No, you didn't start. You hadn't started. Your
Mirror in Ireland was the first one.
Was it offset?
It was.
Was it not?
It was. The IRA blew it up.
I've worked with some great picture editors, John Neal, Ron Morgans, to name just two. I always describe my life as never having had a proper job. Quite a few people said I was mad to jump from a well-paid staff job to start an agency. I joined up with Jeff Ross and it has been a great 25 years working with fantastic staff. Seeing so many here is wonderful. Thank you really thank you so much for coming. I've been told that in a retirement speech you should not single anyone out. Bollocks to that. Ross Parry could not have run without the backroom staff. Sally joined at 16 when she left school. She spent half her bloody life. Half her life getting money out of newspapers.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's not a bloody
Don't look at me like that.
Sue has worked with me for 21.5 years. Trying to keep the right side, trying to keep me on the right side of the tax man. I mean, together with Big Sue, I thank you two so much. I also want to thank Glenn, who most of you know. I met Glenn when he worked in a film processing shop. Again, for the young, that's film. He used to put it in cameras instead of a little plastic cow. And he worked in this photo processing shop where I'd leave my films to be developed with Glenn. I would either have the 1 pint process or the 2 pint process. With the 2 pint process, when I got back, sometimes Glenn would clean me motorbike. Glenn has not only been a great to work with, but a fantastic friend. Ross Parry made more money when I was in hospital with Glenn in charge. Sorry, Parry, for all the extra hours that he's put in. Oh yeah, further speech advice I got was thank your wife and family, it makes things easier when you get home. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, family. It's weird though. Years ago, I could walk out of the house and say bye, Christine, end up in Belfast for 2 weeks, and then come home. Oh, hello, dear. Now, I only have to be an hour late in the pub. I get a bloody bollocking. Lastly, I just want to say genuinely that South West News will take Ross Parry on to a higher level which it needs to get to. This is a tribute to all who've worked so hard for Ross Parry that not only the name remains, but also the ethos. That's good, isn't it?
Great. I use that for return.
Now we are under the South West News umbrella. In fact, I managed the company for a year after Ross Parry joined the South West. I forget that I was now employed by someone and I'd employ staff or buy computers and that. And I'd either ring Og or directors from the company and say, oh, I've just done this. And they would say, oh, get on with it. And, you know, that was made it also an awful lot easier. Sorry about this. I'm sharp. Sharp. I'm sure that Ross Parry will. Can you let's have a fucking drink. Yeah!
These guys have done something quite marvellous for you, apart from staying on your money. Dave, there's a couple of gifts here to send you on your merry way to your new house. Glenn, do you want to do the honours, yeah?
There's a front page from
the photo op this, Glenn. This is the other side of the lens. You've got to go forward. Look at that.
This is for Mick Booker.
Mick Booker from the Express.
Right in the old stunts.
Reflections off.
Bloody hell, you'll never make a photographer that lad, will you? Get your heads together, for God's sake. That's it!
Kiss him! Kiss him! Kiss him! Kiss him!
Kiss him! Give us a kiss! Come on, Sam!
Hilarious. I love Christmas.